Okay, let's begin. Today is Tuesday, February 28th, 2023. And this is the meeting of the Cohasset School Facilities Committee. So I will start with a roll call. Kathleen Burns here, Paul Kearney, Jennifer Lesky,
Present.
Greg McClellan,
Present.
Martin Nee, Nan Roth,
Present.
Paul Schubert, Douglas Schultz,
Here.
and I'm here. Okay, so the first agenda item is, I hope everybody was able to review that priority list. Share my screen to bring it up. So this was my first pass at the priority list, and I don't want to be doing this in a vacuum. So I want everyone's input. Obviously, the most important thing on here was the security. And I know that we need to have a priority list if we're going to go before capital budget and any other committee that we need to. So I kind of put this together. I don't know if you had a chance to review it, but I had security basically for all the schools as the number one priority. And I kind of tallied everything up here at the bottom, so we kind of have like a ballpark figure. So I don't know how you guys, if anybody has any thoughts, or if you just want to go through school by school, or how anybody wants to handle this. If anybody has any suggestions.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
I noticed that the sprinkler heads were in yellow, and I think that's because that's an item that's been addressed already. Did we hear back, or did you hear back around, were any other of these items already on the list or have been addressed?
The town has been quite silent on this.
Okay. So we can assume potentially that nothing else has been addressed at this point.
Yes.
Okay.
And are we making like a 3-year plan, or, I mean, obviously not only a few things can be done this year.
Correct.
So do we need to select the ones that we think should be done this year
Yep.
out of this list?
Yes. Yep. Because you obviously we're not going to, like you said, Nan, with the, there's no way we're going to get all this done in 1 year. This is, a 1 to, I don't know, maybe even a 5-year plan, depending on how town finances are.
Is there a spending limit or cap? I'm assuming there must be some sort of cap.
Yeah, I just don't know what that is. I would have
And
to reach out to.
Is it
capital.
per school or for the entire school system?
Considering that everything that I've dug up, there really isn't a plan for any of this. We're kind of, I guess, setting the stage, and trying to, rattle the town to help us with this, because there's really nobody spearheading this. So I've come to learn that the only time anything really gets done in these schools is if it's like a major, I don't want to say catastrophe. If it's something that needs to be addressed ASAP, then it's kind of like, a fire drill to get it done. There's no preventative maintenance that I could find for the schools. I mean, the schools do ask the superintendents of each schools, but they're not building envelope people.
So should we go through each school and say like the number 1 and 2 things we would do for each school, or how do you want to go ahead and do this?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
That was the other question I had when in column I, you have a priority there, 1,
Yep.
2, or 3. Is that what your first pass at what you thought the priority was for the entire school system?
Yeah.
And that's what's calculated down at the bottom here, priority 1 schools?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, the priority 1 things that you have are all security. But maybe,
Right.
maybe we should look at the priority two things that you've identified. And we have at Osgood, the boiler pumps,
Yep.
and at Deer Hill, shingles, roofing things, and then sprinkler heads. And then kitchen receptacles. You have kitchen receptacles as a number one in Deer Hill.
Yeah, I put that in with security just because of what I read in the report and the unsafe conditions note. That's kind of life safety. So
Okay,
why,
so that's a number one.
yeah,
Then we look down at the high school, we've got a whole, well, for number two, you have sealants at windows, and then you have automatic controls of mechanical systems, and then you have rooftop units for air conditioning.
Mhm.
So those are all of your number two things.
Yep.
And
So with that, I guess my question in looking at all three of these schools, one of the things that jumps out to me anyway is the thermal and the moisture control. So when it to me looking at these, I would, just my suggestion, but it would seem to me that aside, for example, in Osgood, the boiler plant, and unless the boiler plant is in dire need of replacement, I would think that we'd want to try to get the water out of the building if there is water coming in the building now. That would be priority. To me, that would be priority one, because that just continues to erode and decay anything that's inside the building and causes continual damage beyond, continual damage going forward. That's why I would have thought that maybe that would be a higher priority.
Are there any economies to addressing similar issues at the three buildings at once? For example, you're calling a roofing company and you're going to ask them to do roofing work on three different buildings versus a roofing company coming to one school and an electrician coming to another school and someone doing HVAC at a third school, in terms of strategizing just how we can get the most out of our money
Yes.
and actually our time too, that it would be more efficient.
There can be economy of scale with that. The one thing though is as you get to something of that size, you start to really kind of trim down the pool of contractors that you can go to, because because the size of the work just is, such that you're going to have to go to a pretty large roofing contractor to be able to manage that kind of a volume.
yeah, and just looking at the numbers on roofing wise and things like that. I mean, I highly doubt that we have in the budget that we could do multiple schools at once.
I think they're low too, a little bit, to be honest with you, Jason.
Yeah, I haven't done my usual. I go anywhere from 8 to 10% when I see numbers like this anyway, just for
Yeah.
relation.
I checked around. When you sent this over, I started checking some numbers, and to me, I think you're probably, I don't know, 15 to 30% low on the roofing numbers.
Mm.
That I'm not you, but whoever created this is probably about that.
This was done about a year ago, too, a year and a half.
Yeah.
When AI3 gave it to us. So
Yeah, and I escalated it over the next 3 years by 4% per year, which is pretty reasonable. We're seeing a higher escalation than that, to be honest. It's sometimes between 5 and 8%. So that has an impact as to that number and when you actually do the work.
right.
well, let's look at what's really about to fall apart in all three schools. I mean, first of all, we got to get rid of those pests. and bugs. That's disgusting, no matter where they are.
Yep.
And then, the kitchen things, it says currently unsafe, so that seems to be important. As you go down. Let's see. The booster pump is leaking and in poor condition at the high school, so that's not good. There's a code violation in the kitchen. And the kitchen things are unsafe, so I think we should address those unsafe things. And things that are at the end of their life, all those switches.
Just a suggestion, should we try and identify, I think Doug alluded to this earlier, the max, I mean, even though we don't know what the max is, it may be, I know that it's not high. You know, whatever it's gonna be, right? Because the town is in a financial crisis as far as I'm concerned. Should we try and figure out what ceiling we're working with here, like whether we set that at $1 million or $500,000 or something, and then that will help us identify, because we're really only gonna be putting up a few of these things each year because the town just doesn't have the money. We're simultaneously asking for 1.5 for the feasibility study too. So
I think that's a good idea. Last time when we had Brian Host, he said the capital budget has in the past had about $2 million to divide among everything.
that's right.
And so if we were to say the school is half of the budget, so we could have half of that $2 million, that would put a ceiling at 1 million.
Well, the other thing we can do, and I've seen a lot of institutional clients doing this, is and you know, in the higher ed, is some of the things they're doing are they're doing it in phases. So if we decided we wanted to, for example, replace the roof on Osgood, you know, we can evaluate that with the design team to see if it's meaningful, because I do think that there's multi-levels of the roof on that building. And, you know, we could have that priced up to do it in phases. So we do one phase 1 year, then the next year you do another phase. So you can break that budget down a little bit, you know, because it's an expensive endeavor, you know. And that may be something you can do with some of these other things. There's certain things you probably couldn't do that with, but there's some things you probably could phase them in a way that you could make it more financially palatable.
It seems to me that the most expensive things that we have on this list are the roof at Osgood, and then roof at Deer Hill, and then roof at the high school, and then mechanical systems at the high school. So those are the highest and most expensive things.
Well, I would also advocate that we you know, carefully consider the middle high school and what we actually would present doing in that if we are truly looking for an MSBA loan to do something there. Maybe the money is better spent in the schools that we're not going to immediately do that with.
I completely agree with that, Doug. I think that it makes sense. So Nana just pointed out that the two roofs and at the elementary campus, and I don't know what the total ask is for that, or what. I mean, I know these are conservative figures, but does anyone have eyes on the line right now? Roofing in
The two high values are 6.5 million.
is that? But that's not just. I'm saying just for the roof, for the elementary
Right.
roof.
Oh, no, are you saying just on Osgood?
Just on combined roof costs for replacement of roof for Deer Hill and Osgood.
It's about.
Everything I selected is about 7 million.
7.
Yep, replacing the roof. Oh, get rid of that. Snow guards, shingles,
All
roof.
right. So
Yeah,
that's
0.6.
So maybe the phased approach to that makes sense for the elementary, because I do agree with Doug's point about trying to address, I mean, obviously second to, I mean, then we got the security issues that we can't even, necessarily openly discuss right now. We don't have in front of us, which may be extremely urgent, right? In today's crazy world where schools have become a sort of a target.
Yeah, the
so that-
security, all these numbers are the ones that on that thing that you sent were
Yeah,
soon
yes,
as
yeah.
practical and immediately needed. I didn't put anything else in there that are like 1 to 3 years out or anything like that.
All right, so I mean, maybe we just start with the ask for the security measures for the first year, and then I do agree with Doug's point about the envelope issues, and the reason the elementary especially caught my eye is because I know for a fact that there's infiltration issues there that cause constant problems. So, and there are, I think also certainly in the middle of high school, but to Doug's other point, we're going to try and, maybe do something more large scale there. So it may not make, and part of the argument to do that is let's not throw good money after bad. It could save in the long term. So we might want to do that. But so can you scroll down, Jason? So I just want to get a sense of the total for the security for Osgood, Deer Hill, and so we're at 1.3 conservative for high school for security, and then it was like 300,000 for Osgood, and then I missed the Deer Hill.
125,
125.
Oh, that's okay.
125 and 213 for Osgood.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
if we took out the high school,
Yeah.
it comes out to maybe 375 or something.
Well, that may be a good start. Not to neglect half of our enrollment, but it may be a good start just to sort of concentrate. I mean, I feel like a $500,000 ask is a reasonable. I don't, when you're talking about security measures, it may be that may be a prudent thing to start with. I just know that if we come in with some sort of astronomical figure, it's going to be sticker shock.
But Craig,
Yeah,
because we don't have these security things itemized, we don't really know
it's true. That's a good point, Nan.
are
yeah.
they all essential, or are there just a couple things that we could do at each school?
Yeah, and there may be ways of accomplishing the same goal that a particular item sought to accomplish through maybe less expensive means. Who knows? So Jason, what do we gotta go, like? Do we have to have like an executive session in order to discuss that? Is that how we would do that? Or I know there's a securities exception to open meeting law for executive session.
How would we do that on Zoom?
Well, you just don't make it you have, basically everyone's a panelist, right? So you make it so it's not public and it's not recorded.
So you just take it off recording, huh?
Yeah, you take it off recording, and I forget how we did it back when we were doing virtual only for the school committee. I feel like there were 2 separate links, and we'd have a separate link. We could also meet in person at some point in time to do that as well, which would probably be the safest way of doing it.
Yeah.
Not that, that's ideal for everyone's crazy schedules and the town government stuff after a full workday, but it may make sense just to sort of get eyes on the list and sort of quickly figure it out together. I feel like it wouldn't take too much time, but I know the virtual format is more convenient, and I agree with that, but.
Well, is there any way you could email us what the items are for security for each school without, being too inappropriate? I mean, if it was just a private email to each of us, so then we could at least look over the list.
I think maybe we could just, yeah, distribute materials, like we could maybe have them available for pickup at the central office of the school. A packet, would that work for everyone? And then like everyone could get hands on it and then we could be looking at that.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the way to do it.
That'd be better. I wouldn't want to email this around.
Nan, is that something that you'd feel comfortable with?
Yeah, that would be fine.
Because I could coordinate that for sure. I mean, I could do that. I could have that available this week for everyone to pick up, and then we could figure out when we're going to meet about it or regarding it.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, Craig.
Okay.
So if we just say security is our priority for the year.
Yep.
And
That makes sense.
then we go through the list, maybe we'll find that if we have a $500,000 or $1 million, if we want to make $1 million list, we'll find that security won't do the whole thing. And so we might be able to choose a couple other things to put in the list.
Yeah.
So if we're going to talk about security later, let's think about what the other couple of things would be.
I'm also wondering too, educate me, please. If there are things on this list that could be taken care of by the town's facilities department, like when I read replace switches, I know how to do that inside my house. And whether or not that's something that requires licensed electricians, or whether or not the town has a licensed electrician on staff, to sort of chip away at some of those little items too, while we're looking at this big expensive list.
Yeah.
We can certainly have town staff do what they're capable of doing, Jen. We still have to obviously buy the materials.
Mhm.
And I know that they do, I know that they're a little bit guarded about it just because, and this isn't a criticism, it's just the fact that we have one facilities department for the entire town. And obviously the school is a major facility. So I think that they are often overburdened by tasks that are related to the schools, but it's just a consideration. I'm not saying it's not, but yes, it's happened. That stuff happens. They're able to do things for sure.
Yeah.
But that says it's a technology issue for the switch. So is it some kind of school-wide computer system that needs new switches or what? It doesn't really say here.
Yeah, that's a great question, because I was assuming like
We're-
light
are we
switches
talking
on the
about-
walls.
What kind are we talking about, like electrical switches,
Yeah.
light switches, or are we talking about something else?
Yeah, exactly. They label it technology. It sounds like it should be something computerish.
But I gotta, just say, I echo Craig when we talk about the possibility of using the facilities department for some of these things. I think that, to try and have someone come into these are kind of project based. It would be my opinion that if someone's going to go in and replace, all the light fixtures in a building or something, trying to have the facilities do that, I think would be a challenge, because they are going to be, going around with other facilities in town and things like that. This is going to take a dedicated effort for a specific period of time, which means they'd be ignoring everything else in town in the meantime. To me, it seems that this would have to be something that we'd hire out to do.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I know they're very busy and they're overwhelmed, but at the same time, we also can't have the schools falling apart either. So we'll get those. Greg will take care of those packets. Coordinate that, right? Everyone can pick them up, look at them, and then we can schedule another meeting.
Yeah, and I do agree with Doug that the envelope issues maybe are second to safety, because they allow for progressive destruction of the property, right? So it makes sense to do that. I think that was a great point. But it's extremely expensive, so we would have to do it in phases, I suppose.
I don't like the idea of when you go down into the high school where it says plumbing systems waste, booster pump leaking and in poor condition. If it would be not so good if wastewater or something else leaked all over the floor
Yeah,
or
I'd agree
all
with
over the building. So
Yeah.
something that's leaking, it seems to me, that's right there should be fixed.
So maybe Jason, do you think it makes sense to, I mean, should we schedule like an executive session, in the relative near future? I'll make sure those packets are available by like week's end, for everyone to pick up by like, let's just give them like a day, like, so like, maybe we can like say Friday, they'll be available for pickup. And then once we, because to Nan's point, like it would be helpful to know what we'd like, if say we're going to do a 500,000 and there's, you know, I don't know, $300,000 worth of security measures that we think, you know, need to be requested, then maybe that gives us another 200,000 to work with in terms of what else needs to be done. It may be easier for us to ascertain or identify those additional non-security items if we have already met and sort of, you know, have figured out where we stand on the security. I don't know. I just think it makes sense because otherwise we're kind of speaking hypothetically, I feel like.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Okay.
So with that said, I guess when is everyone available to do something in person?
Next week, Monday?
I just want to make sure people have a chance to pick it up, Nan, and where I'm not going to have it available until
Yeah.
Friday. I feel like maybe we give people at least Monday to also pick it up. Then I don't know, maybe like I was thinking maybe like late next week at the earliest. Like I don't know, Thursday or Friday-ish. I mean, no one wants to be there doing it on Friday afternoon, but I don't know. Whatever. Where I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good idea. Give
On Monday.
time to digest it all. Because there's also the reasoning behind the numbers. And that,
So how about,
done with it.
If it's evening, I'm good anytime. If it's,
Okay.
if we're talking, you know, like after 6 or something like that,
Wednesday, the 8th?
yeah,
I'm good anytime.
Wednesday gives people time to pick it up and read it over?
And Wednesday. So that's next Wednesday, Jen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I can do that because there's no school committee meeting that night. I know Jason, Wednesdays are usually tough for you, right?
Yeah, Wednesdays kick me in the rear every week.
Okay.
Just because I'm out at Waltham for 3/4 of the day.
What about Jen? What about the following Thursday, the 9th? Are you able to do that or is that?
I have CEF phone-a-thon, answer the
Oh.
call.
Oh, man.
But I have it in my calendar from 8 to 9, so would it be possible to do earlier in the evening on Thursday, like a 6 instead of a 7?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, I
I
could do that. If
And
that
I
works
can
for
double dip.
everybody else.
Can anyone even do like 5:30?
I could do 5:30.
Yeah, I could do 5:30.
Doug, Nan,
Yeah,
What day are we talking? Wednesday? or
Thursday,
Thursday?
a week from
Thursday, the
tomorrow.
9th, March 9th.
Thursday, the 9th, at what time? 5:30?
Yes.
Sure.
All right. Do you guys want to meet at the school at the
Yeah, let's do the learning center.
the community room? Well, it's probably easier to do the community room. It's right at the park unless it's a small group and it's not like a
Oh,
public.
yeah, that little room, yeah.
Yeah.
where is the community room downstairs? Where's that?
Yeah, it's right by the central office, Nan, across from the football field.
Yeah, okay. You know, if we were to put $300,000 to $400,000 into security, and we know that we can't do roofs right off the bat, they're too expensive. We could pick away at a lot of these smaller things to get up to $600,000 to $700,000.
Yep.
And because there are quite a number of items here that are under $100,000 that we could.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So what do we say, March? If it's an executive session, Craig, I don't have to I gotta post that we're meeting, even though it's executive.
I think that, yeah, I think we
forget.
do. We have to post it. And then we have to move into, then we have to have like a regular meeting and we call it to order, and then you go into executive session and state that you won't be reconvening an open session. So it's like kind of like, so we move into open meeting, you post it as an in-person meeting, and then the only thing on the agenda is executive session for reason number 3, which is strategy related to security or deployment of security personnel. And then you, and then we have and you state that you won't be reconvening, and then we vote on, we have a motion to move into executive session. It's seconded, you vote on it. If it passes, then we move into executive session, and that's the end of it. And it's a
Okay.
closed meeting.
What about, do we do minutes for executive session? Or do we just say that we voted on the security issues?
That's a really great question, and I believe there are minutes, and I've never been the secretary of any one of these committees, so I'm not sure how that works. I know that they're obviously not public domain because that would defeat the
Yeah.
purpose. I'm not sure. I can get an answer for you though by the time we meet.
Sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
So security, and then when we figure out that, then we can chip away at some other things.
Yes. And Jason, can I just share like an announcement with the group related? So related to the feasibility study vote that we had, guys, we're asking for 1.5 from the town. We've asked for a warrant article item. So the process for that is like, you got to go through advisory, because it's a capital related quest, capital, and then select decides if they're going to put it on the warrant. And then after the warrant, if it passes town meeting, it goes to the ballot, right? So people can just, in order to do that, like Jason was asked, and I volunteered because I'm already stuck doing meetings tomorrow night anyway. The advisory wanted to do it tomorrow. So I'm going to leave my school committee meeting and go into their meeting at 8. And I just put together a little PowerPoint presentation. It's not done yet, or I would have sent it to you all already. It's basically just, what are we requesting? What is a feasibility study? Why do we want to do that now? And explaining to them how it's, going to give us like a parallel path to the MSBA. I'll send it to everyone. It's not, there's no state secrets in it. And I'll send it to everyone once I do it. I have to finish it tomorrow because I'm using it tomorrow. It's very basic, but I just wanted to let the group know that Jason and I had a plan to do that together. But I told him Wednesdays are tough for him. So I told him I would be the representative. Any one of you, if you'd like, may join me. It's 8 o'clock tomorrow, advisory meeting. It's up to you. I'm happy not to spare everyone that, because like I said, I'm already stuck doing a meeting. My Wednesday evening shot. So with the town government stuff, so I'm happy to do it. But if you'd like to join me, let me know, and I will let advisory know, and I'll share the presentation with you. I'll do that anyway.
It's going to be interesting to see what they think, because the town meeting warrant is going to have a huge item for the town hall. So in a lot of ways, we're competing against the town hall for money.
Yeah, I agree with you, Nanny. I don't expect that it's going to be warmly received. But however, part of the reason, you guys hear me, or you guys are all frozen actually?
No, I can hear you.
Okay. You guys are like all freezing up, so I don't know. Oh, it's my connection's unstable. I've just been notified. So one of the things about that, Nan, is that town hall project has become the beast it has because it's seen a lot of years of delay, and there's been talk about this feasibility study. The reason for it is because it helps us keep the train moving and give us information to make informed decisions regarding the long term.
I agree completely with that.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
don't have to persuade me, but
No, I'm not persuading you. I'm just saying,
persuade
like,
them.
just a point, just a point of argument that I'm going to make to them. I'm not persuading you. You've already voted.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, thanks, Craig. Next item, just jump right to the approval of the minutes from 1:31. Are there any comments to them? If not, I will take a motion to approve.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I'm just gonna say all those in favor,
I,
Aye.
approved. Thank you, Nan.
Thanks, Nick.
The next thing, which I forgot to put on here, is we need to do the next set of meetings for this committee. 'Cause we don't have any other than the next, the next one is March 28th. We already did.
Well, now we have one next week.
Yes, and the 9th, yep,
March 9th,
March 9th,
March 28th.
March 28th. And we're into April, so. The last Tuesday is April 25th.
Is that school vacation week?
I think it is.
All
Yeah.
right, so
Jen, is it? I don't know.
No, school vacation week is the week of the 17th,
Okay.
Monday, the 17th.
okay, so that's-
April. So April, what?
April 25th. And then we're into May.
Well, when is town meeting? Do you know that, Craig? When
First week
town-
of May, I think. Hold on, let's find out really quickly.
Because if we're going to present something at town meeting, we should meet right before to talk about it. Is it?
it was May 2nd last year. I don't know that they have, because they haven't done the warrant yet. Let's see.
Well, they have a date though. I know they
They
do.
do, yeah, all right.
Maybe. Maybe it's May 8th. I don't know.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. Got it. It's May 1st,
May 1st.
7 PM.
Okay, so if we're meeting the 25th,
Yeah, that's good.
That's
that's
pretty good.
that's the week before. Maybe we should stop with that. Because where we go from there will depend a lot on town meeting results.
True, but we should at least have a meeting after the results.
Well, what's the last Tuesday in May? Unless that's
30th.
Is that the day after? Is that Memorial Day weekend?
I think it is.
Yeah, so we'd have to, I would say like the 23rd then. So,
Is Memorial Day the 29th?
Yeah,
Monday,
it
29th.
is.
yeah,
So the 23rd then?
yeah, May 23rd.
Okay. Tuesday, 7.
Excellent.
So we have one in person
That's right.
and then 3 Zooms.
Yep.
And then town meeting, May 1st.
Yep, I can go either way. If you guys want to do Zooms, if you want to start doing in person, whichever is easier and everybody else, I'm fine with it. This seems to work well for us, but
I think Zooms are much easier.
yeah.
And hey, Jason, and this is something for the whole group to consider. Certainly not, criticizing anyone, but some people seem to maybe not have as much of an interest in the committee anymore, or just not the bandwidth for it, perhaps. I don't know, whatever the reasons are. So I was talking to select board and they're happy to, reach out to those people that for their nominees, right? And see if they would like to be replaced, because I think that there were people that were looking to be.
Yes, I actually, I don't know, about like 3 weeks ago, I reached out to certain ones that haven't been here for a while and asked if they were still interested, because somebody did reach out to me from the community saying that they were interested in. And hear from any of the people that I sent an email to. So my next step was going to ask the town hall what the process was for, because some of them haven't been here in, I think, over a year in any of our meetings.
Okay.
So I don't know what we have to do to officially replace, and I don't know how to go about that.
Because it would help with getting a quorum, I think, if we have, because every once in a while, you're gonna have 1 or 2 people that just can't make it. But if you have, 2 or 3 people that just are never here, then, it's a little bit harder, so it may make sense. And plus, there may be people that have a lot of, great knowledge and expertise that they could lend to the group.
Yes, definitely. So yeah, I'll I'll ask, I'll see if I can get actually a hold of Chris Senior and see what the process is, and then I can, because one is a select board appointment, one's a moderator appointment. So,
Okay. Try Michelle Leary, Jason. She's usually pretty accessible.
Yeah.
Sometimes Chris is difficult to get in touch with because he's got so much going on.
yeah,
I mean, Michelle has a lot going on too, but
Yeah.
she's, for whatever reason, she's very responsive. So
okay. All right, excellent. Other than that, does anybody have anything else?
Are we okay with the resubmission of the, to the MSBA? Is there anything we need to be paying attention to right now?
great question. I was just texting with Pat Sullivan about that this morning, talking about, it was the snow day today. And I said, hey, we also need to do the SSOI. So it's going to do that next week or two. And the answer is the MSBA told us we could just repopulate everything with the information we had. And this time we'll submit 2 of them, like, cause they were
Right.
2 different buildings or whatever. So I don't think much work other than just sort of like some copying and pasting needs to be, it's just the same. They said they explicitly told us we could do a duplicate.
And
Yeah.
when it's not due till April, right?
That's right, yeah.
We could submit it earlier, right?
That's right. Well, we're gonna, because I remember I was on the deadline that day calling them.
Yes.
Did you get it? Did you get it? And like,
I remember, yeah. Yeah, so, yeah, if that gets done the next couple of days, if he has those, then I know we have to approve it, then school committee
That's right.
and select board has to sign that letter, and then it all
Yep.
goes. All
Yep.
right, excellent. Okay. Anything else? If not, I will take a motion to adjourn.
So
So move.
oh, Nan, I'll give it to Nan. I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye,
All right, thank you, everyone. I
Thanks,
appreciate
thanks
it.
all.
Have a good night.
Thank you, Jason. Thank
You
you.
too.